But let's go back to that hairy analogy because
we got deep. Yeah, we got deep here. Alan, are you okay with this? Because we got deep.
I can't stop thinking of that image.
I'm thinking singlet, big. Actually, my favorite one's got to be the SNL skit where the guy is at the full doping Olympics, and he goes, oh, and he rips it up, and his arms fall off. Right. And he goes, oh, they're not going to feel that now, but he's going to feel that tomorrow. That's how sometimes I feel as a business owner, too, as I get my arms just ripped off, and then people are beating me over the head with them, too. So, welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Alan, we're on, we're rocking, it's time to go. We had way too much pre-chit chat, and you always get pissed when I do that. But
I'm trying to get your energy up. No. And I'm trying to get his energy up because this might be the very first podcast. How many have we done now?
We got 110 in the can. Yeah.
And this will be the first one you've done without a drink in your hand.
I know I can't drink because I got to do a medical thing tomorrow. So he's like, "What do you mean you can't drink?"
I think you just can't drink coffee.
Yeah,
or you just can't drink a lot.
Because they got to knock me out and fix my teeth. Which is why we have a podcast and we don't have a TV show, but you'll see us on the YouTube channel if you ever check out the Small Business Safari YouTube channel. But you'll see that I'm eating the microphone because I don't want to show you the big gap in my teeth. But why are we here? We're here to talk to Dominic Rubino from Vancouver, British Columbia.
We love Canucks.
We do. Alan,
we don't love the Canucks up here. I mean, we do, but yeah.
No, you don't. See,
they get a long golf season. That was a hockey. They get a long golf season. Let me just say
they always have a long golf season. So, Dom, do you go by Dominic or Dom or?
When I'm in trouble, my mom calls me Dominic, so I try to go by Dom.
Dom, it is loving it, and we got to keep going with that. So, Dom and I and Alan were kicking around quite a bit before the podcast, so we got to let you in on our little secrets of the business, which Dom has helped a number of people in the construction business with his secrets on how to run a business. And as we talk about that, a lot of times, especially here as of late, I have been in my business a lot as I've been training new.
Not working on your business. You're just throwing the E-Myth out the window.
I did. I threw it right.
You're making pies.
Yeah. I'm
wow. You guys really know the book. Yeah.
Yeah. I am deep in it, and I am up to my elbows right now, and I've got to get out of it. And that's why I had to get out of here and go do this podcast and go. Remember, people, do as I say, not as I do. And I always want you to work on your business because that's what I do. I only work 4 hours a week. I've read that book too. Unfortunately, I work 4 hours in 4 hours and then more 4 hours and then 4 hours and I do more 4 hours.
Hey, Dom, don't fall prey to this. Ask him where he was last week for 10 days.
Where were you last week for 10 days?
I was in Lake Tahoe and then Napa, California.
Did you get lost? Were you walking? What happened?
I did walk a little bit.
I did some hiking,
I'm
man.
proud of him.
I know. I actually had to clean my shoes. I had so much hiking on there.
That's good.
Dust, yeah. But then I fixed it all. I fixed and went back to myself. We went to Napa Valley and I drank my way through the valley again on wine.
So he has to come back and guess what? There's work to do.
Right. There's a couple of emails waiting around.
Yeah.
There's payroll.
That feels so bad.
And payroll just went today, by the way. We're dropping this and
that'll cover it. Will that cover it?
Yeah. And I make Alan bring checks to the podcast.
Just Is that for me?
That's for me, big boy. That's right. But if you want to, we can share it. So thanks for getting in this. So let's back up a little bit. How the hell did you get into this business? What are you doing? What'd you do in high school?
Well, what did I do in high school? In high school, so many questions.
Yeah, he should. Yeah. You want to narrow that down, Chris?
All right, let's start this one at a time. All right. You grew up in Canada?
Grew up in Canada. Now I've spent the last 20 some odd years in the United States, working in the States.
Obviously entrepreneurial bent. So what was your first business?
My first business was a Christmas light installation company. I called it the Yo Ho Ho Light Co.
Yo Ho Ho Light Co.
Light Co. Yeah, I installed Christmas lights.
High school.
I did it. Yeah, I did it in high school. I had. Do you remember? Oh my God, Marty McFly. What's the movie?
Back to the Future.
Do you remember his very cool Toyota pickup truck with the roll bar?
Yeah,
with it from the factory. I had one of those. It was the Mirage edition. So it was black with like brown stripes. Very cool looking back then. But I sat down and I said, I want to start my own business, but I don't have anything. So I borrowed my dad's ladder, which I still have, by the way. And I just started knocking on doors. And in between the end of school and doing exams, I started installing Christmas lights on people's houses. In the rain, in the Pacific Northwest, on cedar roofs. No problem with safety at all.
No problem there.
No problem finding customers, because nobody in their right mind wants to get up on a cedar. I used to live in Portland. And I spent a few hours on top of a roof once because I went up there to hang Christmas lights, and it just got really slippery. And so I just made my way to the top until somebody realized I was missing.
Yeah. I was that guy.
That's and to use the Hooper Canadian, that is a toboggan run. And that
it is a toboggan.
When you get on that cedar roof when it's wet like that is just 100%. You're slipping, you're getting your ass, and you're falling.
You use couch cushions. Did you know that? You use couch cushions on cedar roofs to stop from sliding?
Oh, really? So we use the couch cushions down here.
Did you put them on the ground for when you fell, or what do you mean?
No, that gives you traction on the roof.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I always used them on asphalt. Those are actually the best way to stop yourself on asphalt shingles, I always thought.
Yeah, they work on asphalt as well.
Asphalt? Did you say asphalt?
I did.
Asphalt
shingles.
You need a beer.
I do. And I'm saying without slurring, it's even worse. So.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, let's go back to this. So hanging lights, and you went, boom, Mom, Dad, I'm done with school. I think I've got something. I'm onto it. No.
I was able to go to college. I was able to go to university, but believe it or not, I was not a good student. I was there for 7 or 8 years, but I'm not a doctor. I kept starting businesses. I just always wanted to have my own company really badly, and I sucked at it. So I had a bunch of painting companies. I would open them and close them seasonally, or just keep them going for a few years. And
did you come from an entrepreneurial family? I mean,
not my immediate family, but my larger family. I worked for my uncle, who was a framer, so I got a lot of framing background, a lot of framing experience there. And then some other family members, they're Italians, new immigrants. They started buying houses. They didn't call themselves entrepreneurs, but now they all own a dozen houses and they're retired just fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But the bug just bit me. I don't know why. I've always wanted to be in business, always.
So you said you started painting companies. Did you ever think about, I don't know about the time you were coming around, but we have a good friend who's been on the show, talked about College Pro Painters. Did you ever think about that franchise system?
Yes. So as a matter of fact, because I was doing the Yo-Ho-Ho Light Co., I realized I wasn't doing a good job. And so when I got to college, I joined something called AAA Student Painters. They all have to have a cool name, right?
Right.
So I didn't even know it was a franchise until the end of the training. They're like, you should sign this form. And it says we get 25%. I'm like, oh, sounds okay. If that's
sounds like a great deal.
Sounds okay, right? Yeah. So I actually became a franchisee with AAA Student Painters. But I knew what I was doing because I wanted their paperwork and their systems. I've always craved systems. I crave simplicity. I hate complexity.
Yeah, your bio makes that loud and clear. You are a process guy.
Yeah, definitely process.
Look at the face he made.
Well, I'm super creative, but I like consistent, simple systems.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite, because come look at my business. It's beautifully complex. It's as close to a beautiful mind as you can possibly find.
But you are a super process guy too.
I am, but I created way too many. So I got to get it back down. And that's been tough.
Over-engineered.
I have over-engineered a few things, just a few.
Just a little twinkle in your eye there.
All right, so we did painting in college. You made it through your 7-year program. I love that. As one of my buddies who went to Florida State said, I said, man, I said, I should have gone to Florida State. He goes, well, it took me 6 years to get my poli-sci degree. It took you 4 years in the middle of Michigan, or at the UP of Michigan, to get your engineering degree. He said, I think you did all right. but you're looking around, you're like, if you're going to spend that much time, man, you should have done it somewhere warm.
Well, you're doing the Uber because you got to get out of there fast.
Yeah, right? That's exactly why I got out of there. I got out of there because I was afraid I was going to get snowed in.
Yeah.
All right, so you came out, you had your degree, and you went, this painting stuff, that was for me just to get through it. I'm going to completely leave everything. What did you do next?
I did what I think everybody tries to do after they go a bit of school. I've got to get a corporate job. So I went and got a corporate job, and I worked in telecommunications. And for people who know the phone business, the telecommunications business, back when I was doing it, it's like dog years. So I was in it for 49 years. That's how I do the math. Yeah. I was in it for 7 years, and that's where I learned to sell. That's where I learned about business. That's where I learned about, deals in the boardroom and prospecting. I'm an ice cold marketer. I don't care. I'll knock on any door, anywhere, call anybody. But I had to learn that. And it was nice to learn when I had a base salary and commission.
Right. It's nice to learn when somebody else pays you, because when you learn as an entrepreneur, it's always you paying somebody else for that opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And that means you lost money.
You lost money. Yeah. But I really look back on that now kind of fondly, even though at the time it was a bullpen and it was a hard bullpen. Like, we got heavily trained and heavily managed to hit our numbers. It was all very metrics based. And to make it there, you had to make it. You had to work. There's no gray area. You're either in or you're out. So I learned there, and I moved up through the company. It was Sprint. That was the phone company I worked for.
Okay.
Then I became a regional sales manager, and then I started managing low voltage. I started managing trades that were supporting installations in far off regions. So if you think about North Dakota or Montana, think about the phone company in Manyberries, Montana, or Plentywood, Montana. Like, it's a tiny little guy. It's a guy with a van.
I heard
the area.
Somebody once said there's more cows in Montana than there are people. So did you play people?
I didn't. But I helped those guys that were trying to run those little companies.
You want to
grow.
Be Chris?
I do.
So Sprint taught me to be a business coach.
Nice. All right. So then did you make the leap coming out of there and completely just say, I'm going to be a business coach, or did you try to start a business?
You know what? I bought a franchise. You don't have to hide the beer, boys. Just open it.
Well, I did. All right. Well, let's do it. So everybody.
He's trying to hide
the I'm not a cop.
It's not like
he's Canadian.
Well,
I'm not a cop, and you're not
driving. Comes out of their tap in Canada.
That's true. That's right. I was hiding it from my.
It's like do you see how he hid that? Like, Mom's going to see that I took an extra Oreo.
My dentist would see it.
That's exactly right.
I don't want my dentist to see it. So tomorrow she's not going to say, "Did you drink last night?" And I'm going to go, "No, not at all."
And then she'll listen to the podcast and bust you.
Yeah, this won't even go live for a little while.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll get the teeth fixed. All right.
Anyways, then I left corporate.
Did you buy?
I bought a business coaching franchise, believe it or not, out of Australia. And I learned to become a business coach. And that's where things changed for me, because I'd always craved being better in business. That it's, I was always the guy that bought books and cassettes. You guys remember cassettes?
Yeah, you got to rewind them with a pencil.
I love that. People are putting those memes out there on social media. But you're not a real cassette person unless you held the cassette recorder up to the radio to record your song.
Oh yeah.
My favorite one was Stroke Man, Stroke Man.
Do you remember how the DJ would talk over the very end of it and ruin the recording every time?
Every time.
Yeah.
So there goes my mixed love tape.
Yeah.
Well, that explained it.
It sounds like we're all the same age, guys. It sounds like we're all the same age.
Yeah. We're the season crew today, boys. Season crew. I like it.
What a great
all right. So you learned a business coach. You're coaching people. You had to go out and prospect. Now that's something I think is very interesting. People think, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a business coach. I'm like, because people have said, Chris, you should be a business coach. I'm like, okay. And then I've had a business coach say, you know what you have to do? You have to prospect, you have to market, you have to do that. I'm like, oh, that's just too much damn work. I'm going to go back to the handyman world.
Yeah.
So how did you build that book of business?
Really using the skills that I'd learned at Sprint, getting out there. But what's almost more important than how you prospect is how you add value to clients, because there's no use getting clients and losing them. So if you can't add value, you're gone. My clients work with me month to month, and my longest client to date is 9 years.
So you do have no long-term contracts. You do month to month and say, man, I'm believing it. I believe myself
the whole time. Totally. 100%. And I'm there to get results, and I understand what I'm doing. Now just the other day, I let a client go. Great guy, fantastic guy. Love him. You would love this guy if he was your neighbor. Fantastic. But we couldn't get stuff done inside that company. And so we finally had that. You remember that high school breakup?
It's not you, it's me.
That's the one.
I've heard that a lot.
That's the one.
Yeah.
The whole high school breakup.
It was never me. It was them.
Yeah.
Every time.
Are we supposed to admit that? That's a whole different show, Alan, about your self-esteem and getting women dumping on you. But
hey, don't burst my bubble. Right. So was that something the franchise said was no long-term contracts, or did you just decide to go rogue and do that?
Yeah, no. Well, so I left the franchise. I'm no longer doing that. I was there for 5 years, and there's actually an interesting story how I boomeranged out of that, because anyways, to stay on the coaching track, that I learned there how to add value, because if you don't add value, you won't keep clients. So you can prospect till your heart's content, but if you can't add value to clients, they won't keep you. If they won't keep you, they don't pay you, and then you're always restarting your business. So you have to focus on quality beyond everything else. Deliver value.
What's that first 30-minute discussion sound like? What's your go-to question when you ask somebody, like, what the hell? Why is your head up your ass? I mean, what's the question?
I'm sure it's a little bit more gentle.
Whoops. Yeah. I'll tell you, the thing to remember in that for me is humility.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't go into coaching, Chris.
I think we figured out where I'm not going to help.
So we haven't gotten to the story yet, but I've trained business coaches for a long time too. I got a pretty wide background, guys, and hopefully we get there if we don't run out of time. But I've made the mistake before of coming in and saying, and you've got a handyman business, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You tell me a couple of things. I ask you a couple of key questions. I'm like, here's what you need to do. Da, 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 da. Here's what you need to do. Da, 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 da. And what that does is it completely wipes out the years of pain and suffering you've had driving home with your white knuckles on the steering wheel, just struggling with working as hard as you possibly can, like absolutely reaching the back corners of your mind to fix a problem. And then some clown like me sits down and goes, oh, that's easy. Just do this, just do that. Well, it's disrespectful on my part. It's completely disrespectful. And so if you ask for the first 30 minutes, I got to ask great questions and shut up.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's the gold nugget, because that's the thing. And that's why I asked that, because as business owners, we'll take everything you say very personally. And, the old, Chris, you really need to hire slowly and fire quickly. And you really shouldn't be bringing in these C players. Shut the fuck up. I'm hiring handymen.
I'm hiring who shows up.
Yeah. I mean, if he fogs a mirror, I'm giving him a shot, man. And her, and him. And so we do it.
Can I just add to that for a second? Most people, these success stories you hear about people who went from $1 million to $5 million in 3 years and they've turned their business around, they got a couple of pretty good players and a whole bunch of guys that show up to punch the clock. They don't have magic employees. They don't. It's just how you run what you do. You're going to get what you get.
And that's why you get the real story on this podcast, because that's where you won't see that. You won't see that in your Instagram feeds and your Facebook feeds. And if you get a little soundbite on YouTube Shorts, you won't hear that. You're going to hear, when you're an A team, you attract A players, and you want to attract A players, you got to be an A team, and you're going to have the A team. Dude, there's no A players out there. You get one, you get two, maybe.
Yeah, that's always been my rule of thumb. If you have 10 employees, 2 are superstars, 2 are walking dead, and the other 6 can either be lifted up or pulled down by the 2 on either end.
Yeah. Now, on top of this, guys, I still have to be strong enough to say those A players are minimum standard, and the rest of you, we need to act more like that. So I can't just let it go, right? But this really is the difference between, and I'm not knocking business coaches here because I am one, but I didn't just read a book and become a business coach. I've built and sold a couple of businesses from zero to multinational and sold them. And so I've gone through the hard yards. I've done the same things we're talking about here, and it's tough.
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? You need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalvani. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalvani shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the world of home services. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get a copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on it, and we talk about it, but that's the nitty gritty, is that you have to be able to excel and do, I think, Alan, you put it best, you got the 2 bad, you got the 2 good, you got guys in the middle. You got to make sure that you get the most out of the majority of the team, and get the other ones who are the least. You get the most out of them until you can't get any more out of them.
You bring up a good point. There's a lot of business coaches out there that I kind of get the feeling they couldn't succeed on their own in business, so they coach. Doesn't that kind of go to the old saying, if you can't teach?
Yeah, it kind of does.
It kind of does.
So
that's pretty compelling when you can say, yeah, this one time I had this business and then blah, 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 and I scaled it and I sold it. And then this other time I had this business and blah, 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 I scaled it and sold it. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers.
Right. So what was one of the businesses you scaled and sold?
Well, the first one started as a little side business while I was still working for Sprint. I was selling used junk. Now, it was the early days of eBay, because I'm that old, guys. Like
look at that head of hair.
Yeah, look at that. You got.
Oh, come on. It's all gray. Bro. I'm made of gray hair and wrinkles. Gray.
Well, we're made of no hair.
You guys have got solar panels.
We're made of
solar panels. I got a wind turbine here.
Yeah.
But I used to sell used junk on eBay. And the stuff I sold was pretty crazy. It was used LED calculators. Do you guys remember Coleco head-to-head football?
Yeah, baby.
The little lights?
Yes, Mattel.
Those things would sell for $50-$60. Now, remember, I'm in Canada, so 60 US at a 1.5 conversion rate to Canadian, that was big money. And I'd buy them for $1 at a garage sale.
So you go scour garage sales and then turn around and sell them on eBay.
Yeah.
That is I think Gary Vee's doing some of that right now with the cool phrase now, instead of saying you're a junk dealer, is you're an NFT dealer. I'm working with NFTs. I'm like, wow, I had to go look that up because I thought that was like cryptocurrency. I'm like,
I haven't.
Well, good news is my mother-in-law has been doing that my entire life, because when people put stuff out of the curb on the big days, the big holiday days here in the suburbs, she was here at our house, and she came back with half of my truck was full of shit from all my neighbors. I'm like, Lynn, what are you doing? She goes, oh, you can't throw this stuff away. I said, I have nowhere. I don't have where do you want me to put it? I mean, what are we gonna do? She goes, well, I guess we could sell it. I said, how? So you were doing it there. I love that.
I was doing that stuff. And it's not, the problem is it's not very scalable. And so I had to reinvent the business. But this is where my business coaching came in, because we were doing okay, but our feedback rating on eBay was dropping. So I was in partnership with my cousin, so family business, which is its own dance in a chandelier shop.
There we go.
Family business.
Dancing in a chandelier shop. That's a good one.
Yeah. But I sat down on paper to reinvent. I said, this business has to change, because we're not, our feedback's declining. So people didn't want to buy from us. And so I came down to, at the end of the day, just on paper, I figured we had to either sell used books, used magazines, or used records.
And you're doing all this before Amazon, right? Because this is eBay days, pre-Amazon.
This is the eBay days just before Amazon and Amazon Z stores. Right. So I decided on books.
Yep.
This is the funny part here. And I kind of got tired. I'd been at the coffee shop, and it wasn't a great coffee shop. It was a coffee shop / garage, like gas station. It was pretty low end, but I'm sitting there at one of those tabletops, and I go, okay, we're going to sell books. And if we need to make money, the money we want to make, we need 250,000 books in stock. Now, sometimes math is not my thing. So I forgot to do the volume calculation on 250.
How big of a room does that fill?
Oh my God. We ended up having 3 warehouses, 3,000 square foot warehouses, just to store everything. Because we were renting we're growing. So you just grab a warehouse for lease, grab another one. And they were all in the same complex, but we have to walk between them. It was a bit of a disaster.
Now, how did you source those books? I mean, it's interesting in that. Because
are you ready for a good story?
Yes.
Okay, because this is the craziest story. So remember, I have a background in prospecting. I don't mind knocking on any door, talking to anybody. So who's got a lot of books they want to get rid of?
To get rid of?
Libraries. No.
Yeah. Do they ever get rid of books?
Well, I thought Paul told us that.
Thrift
stores.
Oh yeah, because they can't sell them. Yeah,
they can't sell them. They just sit there and they get lots. And so I went and just started talking to a bunch of thrift stores. And as I'm talking to them, I found out that their biggest variable cost is because they don't know what they're going to find in front of their door in the morning. Somebody could have dropped an entire 1-bedroom apartment of junk at their door, and now they're responsible for it. So they've got to call the junk removal company, like the bin company, to come and take it all away. They bear that cost. And so I learned that on the first couple of meetings. And so I started going to the other thrift stores saying, I'll buy your books. So I started buying books for about 5 cents a book. Now, there were some stores who said they wouldn't sell to me. And this is where the evil part of me comes out. So I would buy all the books I could. And I had a Buick Skylark.
Nice.
With the couch cushions in the back. It was pretty sweet. That was our company car.
Nice.
And I'd load it with books. We'd go back to the warehouse.
And you had a trunk that you could fit the entire town of Vancouver in.
Yeah. So we'd sort all the books, but all the junk books, I didn't know what to do with them. So guess where I went and dropped them the next day?
Oh, the thrift store that wouldn't play ball.
The thrift store that wouldn't sell to me. You got to imagine me in the back of a Buick Skylark with my feet against the boxes and the other door open. And I just push everything out with my feet, close the door, and away I went. And then I'd get a phone call. Hi, Dominic. Do you still buy books? Like, yeah, no, we don't buy any books. We're full.
Nice. Attaboy.
You know what? You got to start You start by hustling. Anyways, but I'll tell you what I did with that business is I converted that into a mail order pharmacy. And so you guys might know it's called CanadaPharmacy.com. And in 4 years, I got that to 120 million in sales, and then I sold it.
Well done. So that's pretty wild. So
you switched from books to pharmacy because Amazon stole your idea?
No. Well, Amazon was a problem in a different way for us. Amazon had a limit. You could only sell, at the time that we started, Amazon had a limit. You could only sell $10,000 worth of books a month. And when we first heard that, we're like, oh, okay, well, that never, why would that matter? $10,000 in books sounds like a lot of books.
Yeah, right.
But then one day we hit it. There was 1 month we hit it just before the end of the month, and they shut our account. And we were like, well, that's a fluke. We said to ourselves, that's never going to happen again. Well, then it happened in 3 weeks. Then it happened in 2 weeks. I mean, you got to remember, I had about 500,000 customers buying from us.
Wow.
So we were selling a lot of books.
Now,
and then
pharmacy,
we morphed.
In the pharmacy side of this, as you made that transition over, isn't there a lot of regulations around medicines and pharmacology and all that stuff?
I was a retailer. So all I had to be was a licensed pharmacy. And in order to be a licensed pharmacy, you have to have a pharmacist on the board. So we created a separate company, nominated a pharmacist to be on our board of directors, but it was a holding company. And then I had a pharmacy. The call center was 120 people. I had 40 pharmacists and pharmacy technicians, basically an assembly line. And it was a fantastic bit, like really good people. We served the greatest customers, but we heard really heartbreaking stories. Like a union had totally taken all the money from people and they had no health coverage. And so they were calling us because they needed cheaper medications.
Wow.
And it's the same medications. Canadians have the same blood and oxygen as Americans. It's no big deal.
Really?
It's the same stuff. Oh. Yeah, we didn't sell any of the.
There we go.
So why'd you sell it?
Remember earlier I said it was a family business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cousin was still there.
Yeah, he's still my cousin. It's just it wasn't going to work anymore.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
I got some that still that are not cousins, as it were. Yeah. So,
but I'm also, because I was a business coach and because I think I understand, and I'm still learning, guys. But I wasn't afraid to sell it. A lot of people are afraid to sell their business because they don't know how else they define themselves. I did not define myself as a mail order pharmacy guy or a book guy or a junk guy. I'm a businessman. And so I'm not a pharmacist, but I had a $120 million pharmacy. So I sold that. And then I went to buy another company.
Well done. All right. Wow. You just, pivoting all over. You're right. You went through a lot of shit. So right now, how many coaching clients are you working with?
Myself, just under 20, and I've got another coach that works for me, and we just hit 11, and he'll be at 36 probably in the next couple months.
Nice.
And did you say most of your clients are in the US?
Yeah, almost all of them. I mean, there's some people that listen from Australia or the UK.
Do Canadians not like to be coached, or
no? There's some Canadians. There's some Canadians for sure. It's just the bulk of the people who listen to the podcast are Americans.
Gotcha. And your coaching is predominantly a lot of the coaches, and this is where we're going to get into it. So, yeah, I'm in the home service space, handyman, remodeling and stuff. You're working with commercial, like commercial construction guys and the specific trades there. Is that your focus?
Yeah. So the reason I chose trades is because trades guys don't BS. They just tell you how it is. If they disagree with me, they'll just say, that's not going to work. It's a dumb idea. And I can say the same to them. Nobody gets offended, right? We've all heard tougher from builders and GCs and inspectors. So I love that market because it's what my kitchen table was growing up. It's what all the family weddings and birthdays was, talking to my uncles. It's so normal for me to talk like that. And so I like that market. So we coach businesses in any construction trade. Now, I've got another podcast just for cabinetry and architectural millwork. So
super specific.
Yeah. And closet people, like lots of closet people, lots of cabinet makers, lots of architectural millworkers. And you got to be laughing at that. But that market needs the help. These guys are building, they start out building maybe a bed for their neighbor or kitchen for their aunt. And then a couple of years later, they're doing $2 million, but not knowing how to run a business.
Gotcha. And the name of that podcast, we'll get in the show notes, is?
Cabinet Maker Profit System.
Cabinet Maker Profit System. That's very super specific.
I couldn't find anything longer.
Yeah, I liked how you did that because that is super. I said super specific, right? I didn't say, "Wow, that's the longest freaking title I've ever heard." No,
well,
that's
I just checked. I wasn't able to buy the domain, but left-handed vegan cabinet maker profit system is available if you wanted it.
Yes. Let's get super specific, shall we?
Yeah.
This podcast, if you're listening, you must be left-handed, you must be vegan, and you are building cabinets. Get in here. Let's get going.
I don't think that'd be that big of an audience.
Anyways, on Profit Tool Belt, it's roofers, it's electricians, HVAC, anybody in the trades, because and we don't talk about tools. It's the business of the construction and contracting business. Painters,
which is plenty difficult enough. So that's great that you're serving that community, as I feel like I am part of that community in the residential space and feeling the pain that we feel all the time. So you get in there, you do your first 30 minutes, then you start your coaching program. You're looking for those major pain points that first month. You're asking those questions. You're figuring that out. What would you say has been a trend in the major pain points in the trades?
A trend in the major pain points in the trades. Balance. I'm surprised that I even said that, but because it's different for everybody, but usually guys they're working so hard they can't work any harder, and kind of working hard has stopped working. I'm not trying to be funny with my words here, but like you can only work so hard for so long before you take a breath, usually on the toilet, and you go, I got to do something. Like something's got to change.
Yeah.
Something's got to change because you can't put out that level of energy. Can I just give you a picture for a second, an analogy?
Sure.
Yeah.
When you watch at the Olympics, there's those ridiculous weightlifters from like Uzbekistan. The guy's massive, but he's wearing an awkward singlet, hair's coming out of everywhere. And he walks up to this bar. It's ridiculous, right? It's got 9 plates on each side. He walks up with these hands and he grabs it. And then before you know it, it's up over his head. And everybody claps and he gets 19 points or however this. Okay, that's a business owner. Every day. You created the bar, which is all of your business. And then through your own just will, just your own absolute personal determination, work ethic, inability to compromising your family, your money, your time, you lifted your own business up above your head and you're standing there. And what happens after 5 minutes? You're like, guys. So what does a business coach do? I come along, I'm like, we should build a rack.
Yeah, right.
Like, what's a simple system? But I want to give everybody listening to the show credit. Because if they're listening to your show, first, you love laughing, and I love laughing on my show, not as much as you guys. But they're looking for inspiration. They're looking for ideas for moving forward. And they're at that point where maybe that bar is over their head and they're like, I can't hold this any longer. What do I do different? And that's where I come in.
Yeah, that's been the break for me. I think as I've grown over the 15 years, I remember one of my inflection points was I felt like that very hairy singlet wearing person.
I can't unsee that, Chris.
I know it's just not.
I want to see it actually. I think you should make a little guy running across the bottom of the screen.
Dominic, don't encourage him.
Yeah, actually,
I thought he'd be on TikTok tomorrow.
I thought his answer was going to be, "What do coaches do when they see that? They come up and shave my armpits?" No, but no, I've been that guy, and I had a mentor had to break the mold for me. Before I was using I had just finished with another business coach, and he came up and he said, "Dude, you're in a rut, and you're not looking at this. You should probably join. You should join something that looks like the Vistage CEO group." And I'm now part of a CEO group. I'm like, Tom, I can't spend one day a week. He goes, "You can't afford not to. I mean, one day a month. You can't afford not to do one day a month." I'm like, "That's right, I'll go." And here I am 3.5 years later, and some of the best decisions I've made as a company have come because I took the time to go there, do an issue process, get through some things, and
get perspective.
Get perspective. There's the phrase. Sometimes you got to run up to the top of that mountain and look out to see where the hell you guys are going, or find out that the mountaintop is still ahead of you and you still got a long ways to go, everybody, and then go run back down and you can help people Sherpa shit up. Yeah. Another analogy. But let's go back to that hairy analogy, because we got deep.
Yeah, we got deep here. Alan, are you okay with this? Because we got deep.
I can't stop thinking of that image.
I'm thinking singlet, big. Actually, the one my favorite one's got to be the SNL skit where the guy is at the full doping Olympics, and he goes, "Oh," and he rips it up and his arms fall off. Right. And he goes, "Oh, they're not going to feel that now, but he's going to feel that tomorrow." That's how sometimes I feel as a business owner too, as I get my arms just ripped off, and then people are beating me over the head with them too. So, you go through that, and I think that's where, and we've talked about this before in the podcast, when to coach and when not to coach. Meaning, there's times where you can't afford not to have a coach. There's times where you just can't do it. It just doesn't work with your time or your commitment. As you've talked with people, and
do you agree with that, Dominic? Or do you
agree with me or not? You can disagree.
Some people aren't ready for coaching. You have to be ready for coaching. You have to be more excited about change in your business than I am, and I'm pretty darn excited. Because it's gonna take some time, and I'm gonna show you some systems, and you have to put them in place. But if you're not willing to do it, it's a waste of time. You probably won't even get past the first phone call. You won't even make the first phone call. But the people that know they've got something on the line, like here's one of the most painful things I ever heard from a guy. I already lost one wife to this business. I don't want to lose another one.
Woo!
And maybe that sums up. And this guy did mold remediation and basement waterproofing. Maybe that sums up how they get to that point. And everybody's got their own path. They want their kids to take over, but the kids aren't ready. How do we get cohesiveness? How do we build a plan so that I can hop in the RV and leave and the kids can take whatever it is?
I think the most painful part of that comment you just made is that he had a second wife.
Well, and it makes me think of
no, he's right. He was right though.
Well, it's like people that end up hiring a coach is because they've got a problem. Why wouldn't you hire a coach before you get a problem to help avoid a problem? And so I have a really good friend of mine who's on his second wife, and with the second wife, they went to counseling. They just made a decision before we have any trouble. Let's just have regular counseling sessions.
Was that her suggestion?
However it came about,
that might have been a light hint
on the air. Yeah, but I actually thought that was a really cool move because it diffuses things before they become a problem. And sometimes I'm sure you walk into big fat hairy messes like Chris in a unitard.
That would be disturbing, but I've probably seen. Hey, listen, think about this weekend when you're going to watch your favorite team.
It's singlet.
Think about this weekend when you're going to watch your favorite team play. So you sit down, you crack a cold one, you sit down in your favorite chair, and the announcer comes on and says, "Wow, and in a crazy turn of events, Oregon," because you're wearing an Oregon shirt, there's no coaching staff.
Yeah, there's been years I felt like that.
What would you say? There's no coach?
There's no way.
Coaching's not remedial. Coaching is not a remedial. You know what I mean by remedial? People don't get coaches because they're in trouble. It's the high performers who say, you know what, I'm doing pretty well. I think I've kind of maxed out in this area and that one. What if I got somebody in here to give me perspective, like we were talking about, and just show me my blind spots? What am I missing?
Yeah, I think that's the part where you can really start to change the way you look at your business and get looked at. And so we talked about it. You got to be ready for coaching when you're ready. You got to be in that right frame of mind, and you got to decide when and where it makes sense for you. We've had somebody on the podcast, and I won't say who it was, but after the podcast was over and we were chit-chatting for a minute, person said, I spend $10,000 a month on coaching to get my business where it is. And I'm like, that's a number. I mean, that's a number that for a lot of people that they were not ready to swallow until they're ready to go big time. Now she, I just outed half of us that are been on this. She is going big time. She's definitely doing it, and it's working for her very well.
Yeah, but I've had coaches throughout.
You've had coaches. You have people who coach you.
Yeah, because otherwise I get in my head. Yeah, I lose my perspective, like we were talking about, and I just start chasing the wrong thing because it's easy for me. Obviously I gravitate towards the things I like, marketing and people, but I forget maybe systems or some key numbers. It's good to have somebody there just flicking me in the ear or keeping me, accountability. And then this is oversharing, but sometimes when I say something out loud to the coach, I'm like, well, that sounds really stupid. I should probably stop doing that.
Yeah, I've done that. That's funny. When I've used individual business coaches twice throughout my career, and then I use my monthly group. And there's once when the coach I said something, I'm like, wow, that just sounds really asinine. I mean,
it's the craziest logic.
What was I saying? I'm gonna file that away. I'm hoping he didn't. Oh, he did hear that because he's telling me how stupid that was too. Damn it.
Yeah, and then and maybe you get this too in your Vistage group, is the accountability of showing up at the next meeting going, boys, I did it. I said I was going to do this, and I did it, and here's the results. And you throw that down on the table, and you're like, boom, what'd you do? And they're like, oh, we didn't do anything in the last month.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we've that's where my group, I use it as a personal accountability group, and some have become some of my best friends throughout it. But yeah, that's one where you come in and you celebrate the successes, and then you admit your failure. Like, I didn't get it done. here's why, and here's what I got to do to get back on top. And they're like, all right, we're going to hold you accountable for it for next month. Because it's amazing when you make those little leaps throughout the month, going back to the little steps you take throughout the week, and then the little itty bitty steps you take just getting out of bed every morning.
Isn't it crazy? But that's the key. The key to success, if I was to give one of these guru keys, you're not hitting triples every time, just singles. If you just hit a single in your business every week, at the end of the year, you've hit 52 singles.
Yeah,
real good.
I have a good old friend who's just had a long career in sales, and all he does is he goes, I do one thing an hour to advance my business. He goes, wow. And I do, so that's 8 things a day.
Smart.
Times how many, days he works a year. And so he goes, if I want to play golf in the afternoon, I just make sure I do my 8 things in the morning before I have my tea time. And the guy's just wildly successful without a complicated system. Yeah.
That wasn't a shot. Chris.
It was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
But, well, so in your bio, you talk about processes, but you also talk about secrets. You have a lot of secrets to success. Can you tell us a secret, Dominic?
Well, I mean, we've uncovered some of them. So I have a book. I don't know if that was a soft.
Yeah, it's kind of a little soft. Yeah,
I have a book called Construction.
There's a little grapefruit I tossed your way.
Nice. Yeah. Well done, Alan.
Thank you.
It was good. And I caught it. And then
except for now, everybody knows that it was
right.
A toss. But
sorry.
Go ahead.
You're doing fine.
All right. We'll rewind.
So I've had the fortune to coach in many places in the world: New Zealand, the United States, obviously Canada, Australia, Brazil. And most people don't get the chance to sit in boardrooms or in construction trailers in different countries. And there's always some guy that walks in, usually not a very tall man, and he builds towers. He builds skyscrapers. And you start or whatever they do, right? They're a civil engineer or they're a massive home builder, and it's an unassuming guy. It's not always some yelling, red-faced maniac. It's just a regular guy. But he comes in and
did you take that personally, Chris?
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not red-faced right now, but yeah, usually.
No,
that's why.
But you have a red shirt on. It just gives the glow is, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, keep going.
But the things that I learned are the guy in Brazil who speaks Portuguese and maybe vacations in Miami once in a while, but really never comes to North America, is still doing the same little things that a guy in Texas is doing, or a guy in Toronto, right? And those secrets are, they train everybody the same way. They track their numbers. They stand for what they believe in. Like, our company stands for something. And if you're on our team, you stand for it. And it's okay if you kind of stand for it, but you don't fall outside of the gray zone, right? Like showing up on time is a non-negotiable.
There we go.
Isn't that crazy?
How about just showing up? Yeah. Just showing up. Back to the trades. That's what I was asking. What's a common trend? My guys didn't show. Yeah. That's that big one. Yeah.
So now I'm going to go into business coach mode. What did you do, or what did I do when my guy didn't show up? Because everybody else, the other 9 guys are watching.
Right.
Not the other 9 guys are watching.
Yeah. Yeah. You got it. Well, that's what we do. We make some examples. Let them know that's unacceptable, because
sometimes they paint the target on their own back, but I can't help you.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to teach you what you were supposed to learn at your kitchen table as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, that's a good one. I shouldn't have to teach you.
I think that's a book title, Dominic. Your book 2.
I got a couple. But
so we'll put the title of the book in show notes for everybody again. But just give us that title for it one more time.
Construction Millionaire Secrets.
That's pretty out right in your face.
I think you got it. Yeah. I think we know what that book title's about, right? There's no secret on that one. No secret, pun intended. All right, yeah. Dominic, we're coming towards the end of our thing. We call it the podcast because I was trying to write down my 4 questions. But before we get to our famous 4 questions, can you let everybody know how we can find you? We'll get all this in the show notes as well.
Well, these days, if you can't find me online, you ain't looking. It's,
fair enough.
But so if you're a cabinet maker or anything in the finished wood trades, go to Cabinet Maker Profit System. You know what? The easiest thing is people can just text me. The world doesn't have to be complicated. My cell phone is 315-903-7853. Just text me and say, I heard you on the show. Chris and Alan said to call.
That's the easiest way to get a hold of somebody anybody's ever given us.
I love that. And that's right. That's putting it all out there. Here's
simple.
I put it out there. Simple systems. You like simple systems.
Do you want it again? 315-903-7853.
Now I feel like we're doing a commercials.
That's right.
No, I'm just saying
903.
Well, because we did it. I did it fast. I did it fast, but you just text me.
Yeah.
This doesn't have to be complicated. The world is, yeah.
This has been awesome. Dom, this has been a fun episode. I've really enjoyed this. So now we're going to play our final 4 questions. We talked about your book, but give us a book that you would recommend to everybody that you've read recently that we should all go out there and read.
This is going to be a good one because he used to sell books. He's written a book. I mean, if anybody knows books, I mean, it's Dom.
So the book by Alex Hermosi, $100 Million Secrets, is excellent. Have you heard of that?
That's a good one. Yeah, I have heard of that one. I have not read it yet.
I think Dom just likes the word secret.
Yeah, right. The other one, and we were talking about this before the show,
just
guys.
Laying there, Chris. Yeah.
All right.
Is the E-Myth Revisited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a solid staple. I think
it is just so good.
It's timeless
and easy to read. I mean, that is one that you read through it and you're like, oh wow, that's done. Yeah. And boy, if you took the time just to absorb it, it was an easy absorb too. It's not like it was complicated math.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it was higher math. Like 2 + 2.
Fuzzy math.
Yeah, like 8 × 9. All right, see? Ooh, even harder. All right, here we go. Next question. What is the favorite feature of your house?
So my house was built in 1893. I'd have to say the entryway.
Entryway to my 1893 house. Boy, I can't wait till we get to the last question. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's coming. All right. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is we talk about customer service a lot because we're a bunch of customer service
freaks.
Let's go. What is a customer service pet peeve of yours when you're out there and you're getting serviced? Either out there,
you're the customer.
Restaurant, you're going to do things, or you're AKA the customer. Thank you.
Just trying to narrow it down for you, Chris.
You're the customer. Give us a customer service pet peeve.
I'll tell you the customer service pet peeve I have is, and I've never thought of this until now, but when I tip somebody at the coffee shop and they just don't say anything.
Oh, like it's expected.
That is funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is, that's a good one.
Because you just asked me to thank you. Yep. Wouldn't you thank me back?
Right. Well, I think manners have kind of gone out the window lately.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one.
But nobody, there's just no recognition of the fact that I just left you a pre-programmed 18, whatever it comes up now, 18, right. 25%. Choose your tip, 18%, 25%, 39%. You're like,
all right, let me double down on this pet peeve though, because now with all these machines that are in front of you, it says, and the person's looking at you and you're getting takeout, okay? And they're looking at you like, just put it in the machine. And it says, no tip, 15, 18, 20, 25. And they're looking at you. You're like, am I a cheap ass and do 0? Because I'm just grabbing it and leaving. And so I've been doing 15 lately.
They don't say anything either way. If I went to that takeout place, and sometimes the takeout places, if they're making sushi, there's a lot of manufacturing that goes into sushi, right? It's a lot.
Sure.
I'll tip those guys. But if you're just pulling like a can of Coke off the thing and a pre-made sandwich and handing it to me, if I'm at the stadium buying a beer and you want a tip for turning around and grabbing something and putting it on the other counter.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I tip there too. Because they're looking right at you.
I do too. But then I think, why am I tipping?
I know.
Yeah, there's a big backlash on that right now.
Oh yeah,
I get it. I get it. So here's what I'm asking.
They're putting it there out there.
They're forcing it for stuff that traditionally doesn't.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just say thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe it is a pet peeve. You've uncovered a wound.
Ooh, you know what? I think we all have to go therapy on this one now. All right. So, but you guys can't go to my therapist. She's busy. All right. Last one, Mr.
She has one client.
she gets a lot of work there, which is why my coaching budget's way low right now. So give us a DIY nightmare story. 1894 house. I'm talking shit.
You know what? I'm in the middle of one right now. Then it's my house. Can I talk about this?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So we have an old, the chest of drawers that you put in a makeup room. It's got a mirror on it, a couple of drawers. Well, they took that in this house.
So it's old, an old antique one. So it mounts to the back of your chest of drawers and the mirror comes up and it's a really heavy piece of wood and mirror. Yes.
Yeah. So the counter on that was wood as well. And so we took the counter off and had just a new piece of marble cut to go in there, right? And because it was rotting, it wasn't looking good. So now we cut the sinkhole and everything. And I realized that wooden countertop was how you screwed in the backboard. And so now I've gone to sleep and I've woken up thinking, how am I going to attach this thing?
Liquid nails.
I've got some ideas. Yeah, liquid. No, I think I'm going to need brackets. Yeah, hurricane brackets, like framing stuff.
You're going to need brackets.
I'm going to need brackets to put a fake piece of wood back there between the countertop and the cabinet. All my cabinet guys are listening to me right now, shaking their heads. They're like, Rubino, we expected better out of you. But it just occurred to me that I don't have a mounting system now for getting that mirror back on that chest of drawers.
Yeah. How you like me now, tough guy? That's right. Put it out there in the podcast. We all do it. The DIY nightmare stories. I love him. Although no death, no dismemberment, but he does host a podcast called
He didn't even shoot himself in the hand with a nail gun.
I know,
which is no fun.
I know. God, look at those suckers.
You know what we used to do with a nail gun?
Calluses too.
What'd you do with the nail gun?
Is when a guy goes into the porta potty, you take the nail and you hold back the actuator, and then you just shoot the porta potty with your nail gun.
Yeah.
You never did that?
That's just
you're doing it from 2 stories up, and the guy's like
jinx in Canada.
Yeah. No. So, okay, yes, I have. but he wasn't in the porta potty.
Oh,
he was just walking in front of your office. No, he was taking a leak out back in the neighbor's yard. So I went out there, and I didn't shoot at him. I just shot by him.
Are they that accurate, Chris?
No, it went everywhere.
Yeah, okay.
But I shot away. He was like, because all I could hear was those little. And you can see him moving around. He's looking around.
Because he couldn't hear the gun going off.
Yeah, I was shooting from a long ways away, but it was funny.
You know what a guy did to me once? We were doing a roof, and I was brand new on the crew. You know, in my day one, they gave me trusses to run along the top of walls with. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, no idea. Anyways, the guy that I was with, I was his apprentice. He touched my foot at the same time as he drove a nail in with the gun. And I lost my mind. I remember looking at my foot and grabbing my thigh and going, my foot wasn't nailed down, but I thought it was nailed down. I was screaming. He was laughing so hard. Oh,
times. That's a good one. Yeah. I got trained like that too, where they come by and hit the side of your machine while you're working on it. And, or they'd hit the lumber and your head and hit anything. So you think everything's falling. You're like, just absolutely shitting your pants.
Yeah.
Dom, this has been a blast. You haven't learned something on this podcast. I think you have missed out on some great opportunities, but you can always double back, check out our show notes, go out there, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, go check this out. Tell your friends about this shit, because I don't know, man. I think it's a lot of fun for a bunch of guys sitting in as one guy said, these guys think they're really funny sitting in their kitchen. Ha ha, joke's on you, dude. I'm in my basement. Ha ha ha. Mom, give me some lasagna. We're out of here.
Cheers.